Hi and welcome to Money Rules. You're looking at the welcome screen. So let's, without further ado, get stuck into it. Go to the login screen, and once you're here, you'll need to put in your username and password. Here's one we prepared earlier. That'll take you through into the tutorials page, which will always come up. I'm not going to go through that with you at the moment, but we will cover off on the main areas, which are the income, the expenses, and the reports. First of all, let's get stuck into regular income. Within income and expenses, you're going to find we've got these envelopes. The envelopes represent the old days when either your grandfather or your dad, maybe even yourself, used to come home with a pay packet, hand it over to mum or grandma, and she would put it into envelopes with names on them, and when those bills became due, they would automatically be paid because the money was available. We don't live in that type of lifestyle nowadays. So we need to make sure that we account for our money, and that's why the envelopes are being used. It just makes it easier for people to see if they've been separated into separate little areas. Okay, the biggest area of income is going to be either an after-tax salary or wages. None of the numbers here use any denominations because it can be used for any currency in the world. So in this particular one, we're looking at a salary, and the salary happens to be $950, which is received on a weekly frequency, and monthly, because all of the figures are converted to monthly for calculations. That gives an income of $4,116. The starting date is, we've used today's date because we did prepare it earlier, and what we're looking to do is take that through generally with an income until retirement date. And what we've said here is that we're in 2010. This person's likely to retire in 20 years time, 2030. Yours may be different. So what we're going to do is, when you want to add a new regular income, and it may be a further part-time type of income, or it may be another one of these types of incomes, you can go to add a new regular income. The screen that will pop up will look exactly the same as this here. If you need to delete one, just click on the white cross. And if you need to edit it, which we're going to look at doing, you just do that here. Type in here whatever it is that the income is for you. You'll have a drop-down list of all available options. It may be a pension or interest incomes earned from bank accounts or something like that, investment incomes, bonuses, whatever that may be, just click on it for you. In this case, we're going to stay with after-tax salary and wages. Here we've got an amount of $950 being the after-tax amount. Let's say this person's had a pay rise of $50 a week, which will take them through to $1,000. That's on a weekly basis. The starting date today, just click on today, and you'll see that it pops up like that. And once again, here is the future retirement date. So if this person earned $1,000 per week going through to retirement, what we now want to do is go through to, and I'll show you how to do this. If you look at the bottom line down here, it will tell you what actually happens as you hover above the calendar. But we want to go to, we'll start at the 14th. What we want to do is we want to go to June, so we want to go back a month, but we also want to go forward in years. So let's do this. Hold the double arrow button down and follow it through. Now the closest you're going to find is 2029. We actually want 2030. Go and do it again, and there's 2030. Click on that. Because Friday is the last day in June, click on that. We now have the 28th of June 2030. That covers one of the hardest parts of this program. We've got that, we're away. Okay. You can see that's now been updated to 1,000 weekly, which gives 4,333 per month, and therefore the total income across all of these envelopes is 5,378. Takes us through to the lump sum income. This is an income which is not like the regular. This is one-off type received money, and you can see when we go into the edit, it's an extra rent. It's extra. It's not a regular rent. So therefore we could consider that such as a bonus. The income date that it's received, we can put in today's date, click on today, click on that, and the amount 500. We'll submit that. That's now updated to the program. As you can see, it's 500 today's date. Some of these have been done early because this program was set up a while ago. Okay, we'll move through into expenses, and we're looking at primary property. Now this is generally your home. Now make this easy, we'll drop into here, look at the edit. Primary property, you could put your holiday house in there if you're paying off a holiday house and your primary property is not doesn't have a debt on it. But you could put in your home address in there, the value of the property, as I said, the amount that's owed, the interest rate, and the years left on the loan. Let's say interest rates have come down. We'll make that say 6.75. How's that? And we'll say the years left on the loan is down to 25, and it's paid monthly. Your home lender, just so that you know who you've borrowed your money from. The starting date, now obviously that is going to need to be today's date, very simply because you need these figures to be working from today. This will tell you what your current payment should be based on the number of periods that are left. So that amount of money over that period of time will pay off the loan that is left. Click submit, and it's as simple as that. The next one we're going to be looking at is your personal debts. Personal debts are things such as car loans, credit cards, personal loans, anything which is a loan that you owe money on. Once again, just go into here and edit. It's the same as if you want to add a new debt. As you can see, this one's a car loan, happens to be a fixed rate. What the original amount was, what the current balance is, the interest rate that you're currently paying, the balance as at today's date, and what the monthly payments are. And the priority number 6 here is on a scale of 1 to 10, how important is it to you to pay this debt off? So from 1 to 10, what order would this be in? Now generally it's the ones with the highest interest rates that should have the highest priority. Okay, so we'll click submit on that, and what you're going to find is here's your car loan, all listed exactly the same as up above, and telling you what the current balances are, what your total debt amount is. In this case 41,000, tells you what the total interest will be paid on those debts based on those interest rates, which is 12,500, so a total of 53,600 over a period of 202 months to pay off. Okay, here's the first bit of magic in the program. We're going to go straight to the highest interest rate first. Program does its magic, and program comes back and says instead of 12,446, you're going to be down to 12,197, or instead of 53.6, I think it was, you're down to 53.4. And instead of 202 periods, down to 184. The program does that by utilizing your income and your expenses and taking the amount of money that's left over. So this is just the first draft. What we need to do now is we need to go into what your regular expenses are. And for everybody this is going to be different. Once again, broken up into envelopes. As I said before, this is where the money was set aside. Doesn't happen nowadays, it's just taken out as a lump sum and paid. So let's go back to transport, and let's go in and have a look how to edit that and what these areas are in particular. Fuel is one of many options available to you in your expenses. We're picking fuel in this particular instance, and it's automatically been put into the transport category. The transport category in this particular case happens to be a non-discretionary expense. That means you must spend this money to be able to drive your vehicle or motorbike or what other forms of transport you may have. This particular case, it's paid quarterly, and it's $100 or $100 quarterly. And the dates, obviously, as I said, probably a good idea to run that through until retirement, and tells you what the monthly payments will be. So we'll go from there back to here, and you can see that all of the expenses are covered in this graph, this pie chart. If you look at that, utilities are costing you $960 and that correlates with that amount up there. And if you want to see what's in there, these are all the expenses that correlate back to here. So trust that makes sense. Covers off on all of these areas as well. Now this is the next fun part in the program. I've tried to make this look like traffic lights of red, yellow and green. When we get to a set of lights, we'd like to think we can always get the green, but it doesn't always work that way. And it's the same with spending. If you're spending too much in either of these two areas, then you're going to end up with a negative amount down here. In this particular case, it is saying that there is a negative amount of 432 instead of a surplus. Of 50% of the income, 3,400 of that is going towards non-discretionary expenditure. So you could go back and you could have a look at what those expenses are. 43% of income, or 2,900, which is the balance of this income here, is going towards discretionary income. Now that could be things such as, let's have a look at food. Food says takeaway food restaurants weekly, $100 a week, that's $433 a month, or $5,200 a year. What if we were to change that a little bit? Let's say monthly instead of weekly. We're going to change the commencement date to today, and we're going to change this date through until 2030. There it is there. Actually, we've got to go back 2030. So there you go. So that'll do. I'm happy with that. We'll enter that and submit that. Terrific. So you can see what's actually happened now. The expense has been updated. Drop back into food, and food is now changed to monthly instead of quarterly. So that's going to make a heck of a difference. And as you can see, we've already gone up in surplus. No longer is the green at the bottom, it's moved up to the top. Just like when we're traveling down the road, what we want to get is the green light. That's going to make a heck of a difference at the other end. We can see that pretty quickly if we go through to the debts. The debts is going to show with the highest interest first. We're now down to 6,400 in interest, and we're down to 88 months to pay off. So no longer is it 51 or 53,000, it's down to 47,000. Any changes like that whatsoever will actually make a big difference to the bottom line. And the sooner we can get rid of all of these debts, then the quicker we can get rid of all the expenses as well. You can see from when we go into the current spending report where everything has gone. We've now moved through from a negative to a positive balance of 767, and that's per month available to eliminate the debts. Okay, here is all the income for the month. Here's all the expenses for the month. So you can see we've got that difference. Here's the breakup of all the major expenses for the month, including the debts and the primary property. You can choose any of these months going forward or backwards, and that's the beauty of using regular figures such as expenses and income. Okay, the next report we're going to be looking at is the debt payment schedule.